Welcome back to another episode, guys. Today it is just freaking beautiful outside. Honestly, this is gorgeous weather. This is a perfect spring day in East Tennessee. The high today is going to be about 70. There's a wind out of the south. It's a warm wind, and it's just freaking gorgeous day to be outside. I'm so glad to be out here today. Glad to bring you guys along with me. A couple things to get taken care of before we get into today's episode. Number one, the new podcast is live. Like I said last week, and if you guys missed it, no more live streams for a little while. Somebody was doing some stupid stuff and reporting them, and YouTube threatened to give me a strike if I got another person to report it, or if I like challenged another report or something crazy stupid like that. But me and Ben still recorded the podcast. I have got it up. I'll link it down below so you guys can go check it out. It'll be linked in the top comment, which will be my comment that I will pin so you guys can go check it out. Number two, this video is sponsored by Monster Bass. You guys know what Monster Bass is for the most part, but for you guys that do not know what Monster Bass is, it's a subscription-based company, and once a month we're going to send you a box full of baits. Now I know what you're thinking, Alex, it sounds just like the rest of those companies, and I've never been satisfied with any of those fishing subscription companies. Well, at Monster Bass we're doing some things different. We're taking your information into consideration, where you live, the time of year that you're fishing, your skill level, the platform that you fish from, and we are going to take all that info into consideration, and we're going to build you a box just for you that has the tools in that you need to go out and catch some fish. So I'll have that link down below as well in that top comment so you guys can check it out. And yeah, that's kind of it for today. That's the housekeeping we need to get done. It's the information we need to talk about. So I'm gonna do a little bit of flipping today, and we'll see if we can put some bass into the boat. I don't know how easy it's gonna be. Honestly, it'll probably be a little bit of a grind, but see what the water temperature is here. I'm getting a 60-degree water temp, so there may be some bass on some beds, maybe some big pre-spawners kind of moving around, getting ready to do their thing. So I'm gonna push into the back of a bunch of creeks. We're gonna do some flipping, and hopefully you guys will enjoy today's episode. Go, guys, first little chunker there, only old swim bait. That was a pretty cool little bite there, guys. I saw some bait fish swimming around here, so I picked up this little swim bait, just knowing that usually where there's bait fish there's a bass, and I was swimming under that school of bait fish and they ate it. So we're gonna keep on throwing this thing for a minute, see if we can pick up a few more bites like that. But it was a ton of fun. Well, it's not working out how I want it to. Isn't that a surprise? Yeah, I'm gonna pull out of this ramp and go to a different ramp. I'm gonna stay on the same lake though. I'm pretty sure there's like a really good Carolina rig bite down the lake. Usually this time of year there is, and usually like on windy days like this, the wind will be blowing across those points, and you just pretty much hit the old tracks and stand on the back of the boat, throw that Carolina rig around, and usually you can catch a few. They're pre-spawn or spawning smallmouth. The smallmouth here, where the water's so clear, will spawn in like 15, 20 foot of water. I don't care a thing about it, really. They'll get down there and just hang out, and what you essentially do is drag that Carolina rig through their bed, or drag it around some pre-spawn smallmouth that are kind of cruising around looking for a meal right before they go up on the bed. You can usually crack a few good ones. Dad and a buddy of his came down here and did it the other day, and I'm thinking, I mean, very similar conditions. There's some fish on the bottom right there. Very similar conditions, high skies, a lot of wind, and I'm thinking if I can get on those same points and drag a structure bug around on a Carolina rig, I could probably run into a few. This whole bite up here is just not happening. I mean, I really thought these fish would be back in these creeks, which I think they are. There's a ton of bait back here, and that's what I caught that one smallmouth off, and then I hooked another largemouth swimming that swim bait around. It was just off balls of bait. They were kind of cruising around following. But that's the biggest problem. The water is 63 degrees, almost 64, and it's the warmest that this water's been this year so far. And so you'll have some that want to kind of pull up and start doing the spawning thing, but most of them are still just kind of cruising around. And when they get in that cruising around stage, it is some of the hardest fish to catch, because pretty much what you're trying to do is intercept them. And that can just be super, super tough. And I've found that when they're like this, especially on lakes like I'm on right now, deep, clear reservoirs, big reservoirs at that, that if you can find them stacked up on, say, like a point or something like that, where you can throw a Carolina rig at them, show them something off the bottom, that a lot of the times you can get a lot of bites doing that. So that's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go find some fish stacked up somewhere on a point, somewhere I can throw a Carolina rig at them, throw that swim bait at them a little bit more, and hopefully catch a few more. So we got about like a 40-minute drive to get where I'm wanting to go. This lake is so enormous. But yeah, I'll see you when we get there. Spot number 2. This is a main lake point covered in gravel, and the big smallmouth like to pull up here, and they like to eat crawdads and bait fish and anything else that happens to be scurrying through the water. I'm gonna be throwing a Carolina rig. Quick tip on a Carolina rig, something I like to do. Instead of running a lead sinker, I actually run a big Beast Coast Bomb R flipping weight. This is a 1 ounce, and then I run that as my Carolina rig sinker, and I do it so that the point is pointing towards the tip of my rod, so that when you drag it through the rocks, it doesn't get hung up. It comes through those rocks a lot easier. I found that tungsten makes this Carolina rig about 10 times more sensitive, which a lot of the times when you're making good long casts with a Carolina rig can be a real issue. You kind of lose some sensitivity on the end of that cast, and so having that tungsten kind of helps, and it gives it a little bit different sound as well. So I feel like maybe that sound difference will pick up a few more bites, but I definitely know the sensitivity on this bait does when you run that tungsten. But throwing that on a 7.5 foot Custom Pro lead series rod from Lew's. I got my Hyper Mag on there, so 17-pound test, and we just got spot lock on, and this wind's blowing across these points. I mean, it is literally perfect right now for a good Carolina rig bite. It's just going to be a function of keeping this thing locked in my hand and throwing it and throwing it and throwing it. So yeah, get it figured out.
Just do it quietly, and that's what we see. The interesting thing is we also have gobbling data on a non-hunted site, the Savannah River site, which is one of the very few places in the south and southeast that there's no hunting. And is it like a park, or it's a nuclear plant basically? It's Department of Energy, so it's about 200,000 acres. Very limited hunting on one little chunk of it, no hunting on the rest. And we see that gobbling does not do that. They gobble all spring. No. As you would expect. And we also have a wildlife management area where they're only allowed to hunt 2 days. And I bet you can predict before I say it what happens. They gobble their heads off during the week, and then when hunters show up on Friday and Saturday, gobbling tanks.
No way, really?
Yeah. And then,
just the increased activity.
Yeah.
Cars and parking.
Yep. And then they pick back up
Chunk.
around Tuesday, Thursday, you know.
It's a chunk. Look at that, guys. Hey, look, I got me a new scale too, so let's see how it works. All right. 2 pounds, 10 ounces. So, a little shy of a 3 there. God, it's a pretty fish. That's awesome, man. Put you back in the water.
Go on. They only read the last hour of day. You'll hear some gobbling. I get it. Yeah, but you can't help but get all fired up if you like review your life. There's not a lot of death dealing happens at 5 p.m.
Yeah, see, he's by 5 p.m. He's an hour from the tree.
God dang.
He has them.
What the hell do I have a hold of here?
Yeah. I have had tremendous success killing birds 1, 2, or 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
If you
big
can
and
get them to gobble,
that's what I got a hold of.
money. I suspect the snakes.
That's good.
Chill. that just doesn't play or have that type of season. They're just trying to keep hunters out of the woods and keep the disturbance to a minimum. I honestly can't answer your question. I don't know if that translates to any change in turkey behavior.
What a boat flip.
The populations we study don't have.
Oh, Lordy mercy. There you go, guys. I mean, when I say she stopped it, she stopped it. Let's see how much this one weighs. $213 on that one. There we go. All right, that's a good one. A little 213. That's a pretty fish, man. So aggressive. Woo. Well, I've been sitting on the same point for an hour and 45 minutes, and I've got 2 bites. So to say it's slow is an understatement, but this is kind of Carolina rig fishing. That's the whole nature of what I'm doing. I am essentially just intercepting cruising fish. These smallmouth are staging up, getting ready to spawn. The water is 59 degrees, almost 60 degrees. And these smallmouth, they move up on these big main lake points, and they like to spawn in this kind of gravelly rock that I've been throwing up into. And so essentially what I'm doing is I've got my boat in about 21 foot of water, and I'm throwing up over these points and dragging that Carolina rig up onto those points, and those smallmouth are coming up and just popping that thing. And they don't really want anything with weight attached to it. So with the Carolina rig, you've got your weight and then a leader, and then your bait's attached, and so it kind of just flutters out there behind that weight. Whenever I move that Carolina rig, I'm fishing a rage crawl, so it'll kind of pick up off the bottom and it'll just flutter down really, really slow. And that seems to be when they're eating it, is whenever I pull it, I'll pull it a distance and then I'll get that bite. And so it's just whenever that bait kind of leaves contact with the bottom that they're wanting to eat it. But they don't really want anything with like lead attached to it, like a jig or Ned rig or shaky head, something like that. They want that bait kind of suspended in front of their face. And the reason for that is they're just cruising up there. I'm intercepting cruisers, and it's the same as like when you're going down a bank intercepting cruisers. You know, you'll see fish start to pair up right before they spawn. You throw a wacky rig or something like that at them and get them to bite. Essentially doing the same thing. I'm just fishing in a little bit deeper water. I'm sitting at about 22 foot right now, throwing up into like 12 to 13. And just dragging that Carolina rig around and trying to get some bites. So very slow bite, but it's fun. I mean, the deal is you just got to kind of stay with it. What I'm doing right now and why I sit down, I'm not throwing, is I'm just kind of letting this spot rest. And the reason I'm letting it rest is because I've thrown at it a whole ton. And so what I'm doing is just kind of staying off of it for a minute, not putting any baits in there, not making any movement, and maybe some of those fish will settle back down. Because the biggest thing that happens, and I feel like this happens a lot, is when you hook one, if there's 2 or 3 sitting right there with it, it'll spook the other 2. And then you just got to kind of give them a second to chill back out, move back up into where you're at, and then when you get that Carolina rig back in there, them not knowing any better, they'll just roll over and smack it. So ton of fun. I'm having fun. Just got to get more fish in the boat. It's been tough, but it's just part of fishing a Highland reservoir this time of year. It's tough bite, but it's a fun bite. This is the kind of stuff that makes you a better angler, in my opinion. The kind of stuff where you get out here and do stuff that you absolutely hate to do, which I hate throwing a Carolina rig, but it helps you to kind of hone those skills so that they're always there. Even though you hate doing something, you always need that skill to be able to do it. So yeah, I've let it rest for about 5 minutes now, so I think I'm going to shut up, stand back up, see if we can catch another one. Tell you what, boys and girls, that right there was just a good old-fashioned grinder, is what that was. Didn't put many fish in the boat, earned every single bite that I got, but it was worth it. I think coming out here on days like today and grinding it out sometimes is good for a person. You know, it's not always going to be 29-pound bags and sacking them up and having raw thumbs and hands, but you know, coming out here on these lakes like this, these deep, clear, tough lakes can be good because it helps to hone some skills that I don't particularly like to use, but you got to use every now and again. And I just feel like, you know, it's what makes you a better angler, is when you come out here, you put something in your hand like a Carolina rig that I don't really like to throw, and you just throw it and throw it and throw it because you know fish are in an area and you know you're going to get bites. Even though it's 45 minutes in between bites, you know those fish are there and that they're going to bite. So I got 3 bites on the Carolina rig on that one point. Got 2 of them in the boat and missed the 3rd one. It was just a total shit show wreck. I don't know what happened. He bit, I set the hook, it come up tail walking, and next thing I know I don't have a fish anymore. So it's just one of those deals. But like I said, I caught all the fish that I caught today on a Carolina rig. I was throwing a 1 ounce Beast Coast Bomar flipping weight to a 20-pound Strike King fluorocarbon leader to a Strike King Rage Crawl and a 4/0 offset worm hook. I like a offset worm hook versus an EWG when I'm throwing a Carolina rig. I don't really know what the deal with the EWG hook is, but I've just noticed when I do throw a Carolina rig, if I throw an EWG hook, I don't get a good hook in them, but when I throw a worm hook, I get a better hook into those fish. Just an experience that I've had. So do what you will with that. I mean, you may like wreck them on an EWG hook, I don't know. But 20-pound Strike King fluorocarbon leader to a 17-pound Strike King main line. I was throwing that on my 7.5-foot medium heavy moderate fast. This is the Ledge swim bait rod by Lew's. Really cool rod. It's really versatile. It's good for big jigs, big swim baits, you know, just anything where you need some length and some power. This rod's got it going on. Hypermax 7.5-to-1 gear ratio, and yeah, I mean, that's really it. Throwing that tungsten, I think, was important today. Really, really sensitive. You know, for a lot of you guys, listen, you don't have to throw tungsten. I know it's expensive, but go check out Beast Coast. I have a link down below. It's a company I've worked with for a long time, and they make very affordable tungsten, and it's a la carte, so you don't have to buy like packages of tungsten. If you want to buy 1 1/2 ounce weight and 2 ounce weights and 5 3/16 ounce weights, you can do that. And plus they make awesome jigs and stuff. You guys know that if you've been around here for any amount of time. But I'll make sure to link them down below so you guys can go check it out. I'll link the rods and all that down below. Monster Bass sponsored today's video. I'll link them down below. And as always, you guys are sweet. Thanks for watching.